The next goddess we're going to talk about is the most well-known because her effects are still here, and she plays a major role in life today. So most people around the world know her. Her name is Pele. Now, Pele definitely came from somewhere else. She was called Keakua Haole, or Keakua Wahine Haole, or Kawahine Haole, because that means the foreigner, the foreign goddess, okay? Because she came here from someplace else and apparently fairly late. There are no clear connections with her in any place else in Polynesia, but there are some unclear connections. Okay? But Pele is primarily a Hawaiian goddess. And she came here, according to the stories, fleeing from her sister, Namaka'okahai, who can also represent the ocean. So you've got the fires and you've got the oceans. Okay? And so Pele came here and looking for a place to live. And so some of the legends say she was looking for fire as a place to live in the molten lava. And there are stories of Pele has been a woman. You often find this in some of the important characters in Hawaiian history, why some families claim them as an ancestor, and they talk about them as actual human beings who were later turned into spirits or gods. Okay? And the problem with the word akua, as before, is you don't know. You really don't know whether it was a human being who became a god, whether it was always a god, whether it was a natural phenomena only, or whether it was all of that or none of the above. It's a pretty strange word. So we tell most of these stories in a way that modern people can get some understanding of them, but the ancient way of telling stories was not always in a nice beginning and a middle and a climax and a conclusion. Okay? They didn't always tell stories that way. It depended on the purpose. But we do that today because modern people get uncomfortable if you don't tell a story that way. Okay? So, but anyway, this story, many stories of Pele. The one we're going to talk about needs, first of all, as a character, Pele. Okay, good. And might as well come up here because you're going to be doing it, and so I'll dress you up as Pele. Okay. We're using orange as the color. Okay. Because this is a lot closer to the actual color of the molten lava as it's streaming down. All right. Good. Now, in addition to Pele, we need Kamapua'a. Don, how'd you like to be a Kamapua'a? Kamapua'a is a very interesting, very old figure in Hawaiian literature, oral tradition. The word means child of a pig. But the pig was a very, very important figure in old Hawaii, very important food source, and actually in many cases could be a friend. They had them as pets as well. But he was a character, a god of the forest. He's sometimes called a demigod. He had a lot of shamanic characteristics. And when they start being called a demigod, you know they were very, very old. Okay? Because it's later gods, people who follow later gods call the earlier gods demigods. Okay? That often happens. So anyway, it's a very old character, a forest, almost a Pan type character. Because in some stories he has the feet of a pig, or the bottom half of the legs of bottom half of a pig. Looks very much like Pan in some of the stories. But actually he had the ability to transform himself from a pig to a man, from a man to a pig. And associated with forest plants, associated with water, mostly rain. but there were also some ocean characteristics. He had different forms that he could take. And he had a seashell boat that he could travel across the ocean with. So there's a lot of ocean water connotations with Kamapua'a as well. Well, in the story that we're in, let's see, do we have anybody else in here? No, it's just these two. You see immediately a kind of a difference between fire and water. In the old days, when the rain fell on the slopes of the volcanoes and created steam, the Hawaiians saw that as Pele and Kamapua'a making love. When the rain put out the fire, well, that was Kamapua'a having his way with her, okay, against her will. Okay? When the fire just caused so much heat that it dissipated the rain, then Pele had pushed him away. And so there's lots of stories about almost like love battles between them. Okay? Sometimes they did it and had fun, but a lot of times one of them was forcing the other to do something different. Well, in this particular story that we're talking about, Kamapua'a was really trying to get Pele to make love. Okay? Really, really kind of put all of the, his persuasive charm and everything like this. But Pele wouldn't have anything to do with that. And Pele called him, Pele kept insulting him. Now, I don't know why this was an insult, but she would call him a pig and a son of a pig. Okay? And Kamapua'a would get very, very upset with that. So, one day, when Kamapua'a was really trying to persuade her, let's go off in the rocks and do it, he suggested a challenge. And the challenge that he suggested was, let's do a sled race. Okay? Now, in old Hawaii, they had a sled that looked something, I don't know if you know what a luge is, it looked something like that. A very, very narrow sled. Really a sled with runners. And a very narrow place to sit on. And it was quite long, about like that. Beautifully made. And what they used to do, they would have a hill, and they would put grass from the top. They would cut grass and pile grass on this trail, all the way down from the top, all the way down the bottom as far as they could. And the idea, you had to grab the sled, and you'd run and you'd jump on your belly on the sled, sliding all the way down, as far as you could go. Now, sometimes it would be a test to see who could go the farthest. We saw them actually doing this in Easter Island. They still do it, only they use banana stalks for a sled. Okay? And when they fall off on the lava. A lot of fun. But anyway, in Hawaii, they put the grass down. Didn't always work, but they did it. There's one at least a mile long that's been found, an old hill that was used for that. So anyway, they used to do that, and Kamapua'a was a real master, but so was Pele. They were both masters of this sport. So Kamapua'a challenged Pele to a race down the hill, because sometimes they would do that too, race side by side. So they got their sleds, and now the challenge was this: if Kamapua'a won, Pele would have to make love with him. If Pele won, then Kamapua'a would not make love to her. Okay? Okay? So that was the challenge, and Pele was certain that she was going to win. So they grabbed their sleds, they jumped on the hill, now kind of slow like you're doing it. They went down the hill, and they went down the hill, and go farther and farther down the hill. Don't go too far, okay? Farther down the hill, very slowly. You stay there, but move. Okay, very slowly, Kamapua'a got ahead. Kamapua'a got ahead. Okay, Slowly he got ahead, and slowly he got ahead, and slowly he got ahead, and slowly he got ahead. Slowly, keep, just pretend like you're moving. Okay? Slowly he got it. Finally he was so far ahead, Pele could see that she wasn't going to win. Okay? And she didn't want to make love to him. It was in one of her moods. Okay? And so she got so angry that here's Kamapua'a going down as fast as he can, going farther and farther. It looks like he's going to win the race. Pele turns herself into molten lava. Now Pele is molten lava coming down the mountain, right behind Kamapua'a. And at first he doesn't know it. So just kind of wave your arms like, don't move, but wave your arms like molten lava. Okay, good. Okay, that's how molten lava looks. Okay? So, and Kamapua'a doesn't know this until he's getting closer and closer and closer to the ocean, and he looks back, and here's Pele almost right on top of him. And he does his best to put all the speed he can, and she's chasing right after him, and she's almost got him. He finally comes to the edge of the ocean. He leaps into the ocean just as the lava comes, and he turns himself into a Humuhumunukunuku'apua'a, which is the state fish of Hawaii, but also it means a trigger fish with a beak like a pig, because that was one of his forms. Okay? So he leaps into the water, becomes a fish, the lava hits the other of the cliff, goes out when it reaches the ocean, and he swims away to safety. Okay? Only to come back another day and try again. Okay? Good. Thank you very much.